Hello everybody, Artifact Talk here, and I'm back with an update on the current future meta game in Yu-Gi-Oh! As we already know, we have this new dangerous archetype coming out. Danger. And as per the name, the deck will definitely not be a clickbait deck where it's not dangerous. It is an extremely dangerous deck to face against. It's a deck that can very easily deck itself out turn 2. That's how much this deck actually searches. I've seen so many videos of this thing online. And I've evaluated the deck, and I've already evaluated some of the top cards that you're going to want in order to be able to have when you're playing against this deck. Because this deck is going to require some very special floodgates and unorthodox stuff in order to actually be able to survive this matchup. And keep in mind, this deck if you're combining the deck with Grapha, most players who are playing floodgates wouldn't even be able to survive against this deck because Grapha already pops everything when he touches the graveyard himself. They have drag down into the grave to empty out any potential board wipes in your hand. So the only board wipes you're probably going to keep are Raw Spearmo and evenly matched. If you play Dark Hole or Geki against this deck, you're a noob, you deserve to lose. Because they're just going to trigger because everything's just going to trigger as it touches the graveyard. They'll just simply get everything back. Since they're literally drawing out a whole new hand by the time that they're done with their plays. Keep in mind that this deck can very easily extra link you teching in the Nightmare stuff. Throwing Ibly on your board, putting Firewall and Trigate on the board at the same time. A Trigate that's co-linked by 3 so he can negate one of your effects. So, you're going to have to figure out, you have to come up with something in order to be able to survive your danger matchup. While this deck may not do very much while the Trickstars are still present and the Gokis are still present, once those two get knocked out of the way to make room for this deck to become the best deck in the game. Need I remind you that based on everything I heard, every single danger card is ultra or secret rare, which means that there is no room for budget negotiation with this deck. You need to come with a $500 bill ready to be dropped on this deck, or else you flat out won't be able to afford everything you need. And you need to play a very strong extra deck. And also, need I remind you that Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries actually doesn't do anything against this deck. So, since I'm a true Draco player, as some of you may already know, once Sky Strikers and Goki get hit, I highly recommend that you rotate out the extra deck version and go back to the original version, which use Monarch's Erupt, because Monarch's Erupt has much more better chances against this deck than what the extra deck version, which sides Reaper and Winter Cherries would have. Because you can hit the extra deck to this whole deck. You can literally play Monarchs against this deck and you'll still lose. Like, Domain doesn't do anything. They don't need an extra deck. They don't need it. Far out. And I'm going to be giving you guys some suggestions about which tech cards you should be trying out in your decks in order to be able to put up a very strong matchup against this. Because this deck is extremely strong, it's extremely consistent, and it's been proven to work. And very strong hybrids with Brain Abyss, Dark Worlds, Fables, anything that has lots of graveyard interaction. You can even throw Shadow in here if you think you're going to be able to have a strong matchup going second and resolve Shadow Fusion a lot. And also, going first, making Winda is always a strong, as your ending play is always a strong thing to do because it literally serves as a Vanity's Emptiness for your opponent's entire turn before you OTK them. So that's always a potentially strong play as well. So, like I just said a moment ago, you have to do something. Because these cards are going to be sticking around for quite a long time, and let's be honest with ourselves here. This is not going to be Subterrace, this is not going to be Vandreads, where the deck just fucking fails and shit, and it just never does anything. It's not going to be one of those type of decks. It's going to be a deck that sticks around for an extremely long time, till the ban list hits it. So I'm going to be going over some of the cards that you're going to need, absolutely need when you're playing against this deck. Number 5, Different Dimension Ground. This is an absolute necessity when you're playing against this deck. You need to open this going first every single time. If you don't see it, let's just say you're not going to have a very pretty time. Because they're going to be able to go off, you're not going to have a way to stop them, and they're just going to fuck you over entirely. Remember, most floodgates wouldn't even do anything, because the moment Grappa touches the graveyard, your floodgate is going to get popped. So a couple of floodgates wouldn't even work against this deck. Alright, so let's just get that pre-established. You need this goddamn card. If you haven't already ordered 3 copies of it, if you sold yours a while back when this thing was expensive, restock immediately. When I say immediately, I mean like go on Amazon and order 3 copies right now. Because this archetype is extremely weak to when you take away its graveyard. It's extremely powerful, but it also has a lot of ways to be exploited. Or to have its weaknesses exploited, more or less. So, it's simple. This card is a simple concept. It's a normal trap card. The same turn you play it, any monster sent to the graveyard is removed from play instead. Draco can afford to play this because the only cards that really matter in our graveyard is our spells and traps. Is our True Draco spells and traps. And this doesn't hit, so as a True Draco player, I highly recommend this in, I think, 3 copies of in your side deck. Once the format officially changes. Because this, my friend, is going to be your new out to dangers. I'm pretty sure this one should go without saying that Dimensional Fissure is an absolutely insane card in this matchup. And I'm going to give you some leaks ahead of time. Me personally, I'm probably going to be main decking 1 copy of Dimensional Fissure in my True Draco deck. And maybe Macrocosmos, I don't know. Probably not, because it hits my spells and traps too. This card is much more one-sided than Macrocosmos. Macrocosmos hurts me too, so I may not run it. But guarantee at least 1 copy of Dimensional Fissure in the main deck. Guaranteed for the danger matchup, because that matchup is going to be very irritating to deal with. If you don't have the tools necessary. Like, literally, if you don't have the tools necessary, even if you go first, they're just going to pick your board apart. You open Dimensional Fissure or True Draco with Monarch's Erupt and Anti-Spell, they need to scoop it up immediately. Because they don't have an answer for you. While Imperial Warrior would conflict with this, you can still run both together and it'll just be fine. Because most people wouldn't even be playing... most people wouldn't even see Imperial Warrior and Dimensional Fissure at the same time in True Draco. If you do, you play whichever. You just play Dimensional Fissure, and then if your opponent is playing a different type of deck, you can just play Imperial Warrior and give up the D-Fissure control. And another interesting fact: hand traps also lose the D-Fissure because certain hand traps need to touch the graveyard as per by the cost of the hand trap itself. Like, for example, Ash, Ogre, Droll, the now banned Maxi, Winter Cherries, all these cards actually need to touch the graveyard first. They can't even be activated if Dimensional Fissure is on the field. So this serves as another Amano Iwado for True Draco because this stops certain hand traps. The only one that I think can still go through is Ash. But you have Amano Iwado for that anyway, so it don't even fucking matter. But just an interesting ruling, as a matter of fact, for you to know. And also, cards like this actually kill Infernoid matchups as well. Along with Imperial Iron Wall, but I wouldn't recommend Imperial Iron Wall this format because Darkwoods would be more than happy to go against Imperial Iron Wall. And they'll just tear you apart. Because they're like, oh, you don't want me to banish cards? Thank you. They can very easily capitalize on that. So, also, if you have Macrocosmos, you should play Macrocosmos as well. If you're not playing Draco. And say you're playing a deck like, say, Old School Stun or Pendulum Magicians, where you can get away after you were playing these cards after you make a turn one board, play them to flat out shut down your opponent's options. Where you can just like take these cards from the graveyard with Nightmare Griffin and just set them face down again. And it'll just be an all-win situation for you. Anyways, on to the next card. This should also go without saying, but Droll and Lockbird along with Ash Blossom are the two most viable hand traps for the next format. Veiler does nothing to the Danger deck because they are all triggering their effects in the field and graveyard. If you negate their effects on the water on the field, they'll just re-trigger in the graveyard. Ash Blossom, being the most diverse hand trap, allows you to slow down the deck and basically win a lot of your rogue matchups, because a lot of rogue decks have trouble when it comes to Ash Blossom. I'm probably going to be playing copies of Ash Blossom and Droll in my Draco side deck for the future in the very near future going forward, because going second against this deck is going to be hell. Unless if you have board wipes and disruption. It will literally be living hell. Breeding while going second against the deck. And just watch them take forever to end their fucking turn. It would just be so stupid. If you use Droll and they don't have a call by the grave for you, you're winning the game. If they don't have to call by the grave, you win. If they don't, then you're going to have to rely on seeing a board wipe. If they do have it. And if you see raw spear mode, you win the game. If you see evenly, you have equal chances at winning the game as to your opponent. But Droll and Lockbird, I believe this should go without saying, is a staple card. I doubt they're going to hit Droll and Lockbird on the ban list. They're going to probably take out the problem Reincarnation and let Droll exist as a check to the Max C, to the searching problem. Droll's like the Max C, but for searching. It leaves itself as a check to the deck to the best decks in the game for the format. You generally play this against Goki and Sky Strikers just because it's so effective. Even last format where Pendulum Magicians and Draco both fell to Droll and Lockbirds if they didn't have the answer for it. And again, this should go without saying that Ash Blossom is the most diverse hand trap for basically every deck. So playing Ash gives you automatic diversity. And gives you a lot of playing chances. Anyways, on to the next card that I recommend for you to play next format. This also should go without saying, but Winged Dragon and Raw Spear mode along with Evenly Matched are your two best chances of being able to survive a game going second against this Danger deck, or basically any other Link spam deck, or Special Summon Heavy deck in general that shits out a whole bunch of monsters in one shot and tries to OTK you the following turn. This and Evenly Matched are your best chances. You need these goddamn cards. Okay, you don't have them, you're not winning, just pick up your cards and go to the next game. Simple as that if you don't see this or a hand trap. Simple. Like, for real. Well, Evenly Matched, it's been proven throughout the entire format that the card is good against going second decks. Advice to you Draco players, main deck Evenlies. And save the space in your side deck for stuff that you really need. Just main deck the Evenlies, because it's a trap card and you can simply just set it if you do draw it off of your demise. And also playing Evenlies gives you a really good going second opportunity. While Draco may have a matchup going second now, the Masterpiece is gone, we still have Evenly Matched that we can play in the main deck. We still have Stormforth, we still have Amano Iwado, which is also an amazing tool going second against these types of decks. We have Monarch Syrup, we have Anti-Spell, Skill Drain, Imperial Order, Solemn Judgment, which I'm also going to keep. And if Solemn Judgment were to go back to 2, I honestly would play 2 in the main deck. Simply because it's good against, it's the Evenly Matched out, and it's a good card against Twin Twisters, along with the one Imperial Ward, which can also hit Twin Twisters as well. because Twin Twisters is going to become a huge problem because Danger can play it because it forces them to discard and send the cards to the graveyard, which they want to do anyways. So Twin Twisters expect the card to be played. So you would need some sort of spell card out, or spell card out, or spell card hate in general. So, anyways, and on top of that, with the creation of the Danger archetype, congratulations, Konami. You've officially power creeped Regeki and Darkhold, along with Kaiju Slumber. Kaijus may still see play if boss monsters ever become a trend again. But Slumber, Regeki, and Darkhold, and basically board wipes that just destroy all the monsters, Torrential Tribute, etc., are all dead cards now. Because if you kill these things are just going to float again. And it really is just stupid. If you're playing Regeki and Darkhold, it's pointless. Even if you're playing Regeki and Darkhold against a Link board, they're just going to negate it and banish it with Trigate. The only matchup that Regeki and Darkhold really have a good time against is Infernoid and Dinosaurs. And who the fuck is playing Infernoid, first of all? And Dinosaur only pops up every now and then. And only gets like one or maybe two tops in the YCS or Nats. So whatever. It may get 2, 3, 4 tops in a regional. I don't know. Dinosaur doesn't really pop up much anymore. Which is sad because it's been now for almost 2 years now, and it really didn't have much time to shine, if you want me to be honest with you. It just had basically all of last year's spring and the entire summer. Basically after the super hot and sweaty months, the deck was basically knocked from having any real competitive number one in the game chances post a new September 2017 ban list. But more or less, I digress. On to number 1. This card is so stupid, yet it's so good. This card literally summarizes up the entire matchup in a nutshell. Outside of Twin Twisters or any other form of generic backrow hate, Danger embarrassingly has no way to deal with a single Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. Grapha gets negated in the graveyard because he's a dark monster. So Grapha cannot pop. Silva cannot pop. Gold cannot pop. Nothing can pop this. Unless they have a Twin Twisters. Which hopefully you have the Imperial Order or Solemn Judgment to negate. Which is why Solemn Judgment is such an important card. In True Draco, you would side deck anywhere from 2 to 3 of these. 3 of these if you're super eccentric about the Danger matchup. Me personally, I would side deck 2 because I can draw the stain out off a card Demise, and all is well. You're not going to be needing 3 of these in the side deck. Like, for example, right now I play Light Imprisoning Mirror for the Trickstar matchup, but once Trickstar, Sky Striker, and Gokis all take their eventual L's on the next ban list, I'll be able to rotate out my Light Imprisoning Mirrors and replace them with the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. The reason I will only play 2 is because, number 1, it's easier to draw, number 2, it's only tiered for one matchup, and number 3, I'm already going to be running 3 different Dimension Ground for the Danger matchup anyway, so I have a lot of side deck potential for it. This card's really going to actually shine. And once I saw the Danger cards, I actually went on Amazon immediately and ordered myself 3 copies of these. Even though I say I'm only going to play 2, but I'll just have the third one laying around in my collection of commonly used Yu-Gi-Oh cards, just in case. You just never know. You just never know when you need this. And if you're playing Stun right now, I highly recommend you slap 3 of these into your side deck. If you're playing like Fossil Dyna Stun, or Inspectable Stun, or some kind of stun deck right now, you need 3 of this goddamn card. This card is just going to be a skill drain on steroids for the entire fucking Danger matchup. If you're playing Stun, you're playing 3 of these in your side deck for the next format or 2. Guaranteed. If you're not playing if you're not playing this somewhere in your side deck, then you're in trouble. And now, if you're playing a deck like Burning Abyss, you just might have to switch up your deck for the new format, because this card's going to be extremely trendy if you're like playing a zombie deck, and I think you might want to quit your deck for a little bit, because it's going to stink against this card, playing against this card, because you're going to lose a lot. I'm going to be honest with you. You're going to be taking a lot of L's to this, having to play second against a card like this, unless you open Twin Twisters. Because everybody's going to be abusing this once people understand how well this card actually does. There's no denying that Danger is going to be one of the best decks. Keep in mind that it can be combined with Shadow, Burning Abyss, Dark Pendulums, and Dark Worlds. Basically any dark deck in the game. Heck, you can even try out the new Layer of Darkness stuff that just came out a couple of months ago with it. And you may even see success. Because the new Danger cards are just so damn consistent. And they shit out Link monsters like crazy. So you're going to need this damn card. Point blank. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed my top 5 suggestions for the new format on what you should be playing. Some of these are pretty obvious, and some of these may be a little bit unorthodox to you. So I just wanted to make it perfectly clear what you're going to be up against. And the fact that Danger is probably going to be the next tier 0 deck for a long time, because I don't see them knocking it out right away, because it's going to be very profitable for them. Because remember, the whole deck is Ultra and Secret Rare, so it's going to live for a little bit. They may hit some stuff, so the price of the deck will come down. Some people will be more in tune with buying the stuff because it's a little bit cheaper. They'll make money from that. Then give it another 4, 5, 6 months, then they'll kill off the deck once and for all. But to summarize, the deck is good, but it's going to have a lot of flaws that can be very easily exploited if you're playing the right cards. It's in your side deck. Once we start seeing people's competitive interpretations on the deck, then I'll probably be doing a redo on this entire video so I can give you guys a summary on how people are playing the deck, which version or variation is considered the most competitive, and which version you should prepare for the most in the case that you're going against this deck in the tournament or against your friends. Because people are going to want these cards to increase their chances of a competitive edge once the Trickstars, Gokis, and Sky Strikers get hit. Because we're just right around the due date for another ban list. Give it till, I think, the beginning or end of August, and give it to the beginning or end of August and maybe end of September like last year, and we're guaranteed to get a fucking ban list. Because there's no way that those 3 decks are going to continue to be around. They're not making Konami any more money. Sky Strikers might actually live a little bit longer though, because we are getting the new Sky Striker Link monster. So they need to make some money off of that. So they may just hit Engage to 2 and Hornet Drill to 1 to prevent the engine from being abused. The pure Sky Striker build will still be amazing. Instantly decent. Trickstar Reincarnation to 0, guaranteed. Kill that shit off. It's been around for over a year already. It's been around for almost a year and not even been touched. They'll keep Draw and Lock as a check to the new Danger deck. And Goki is going to get utterly and totally annihilated on the next ban list, thanks to its extra link combos. The Nightmare Engine is going to serve as a role model for future Link decks and what future Link decks should be playing and how they should play and what types of boards should be considered standard and subpar in the deck. Anyways, I digress. This is Artifact Moral Talk, signing out. Peace.